Hey, everybody, it's Reverend Rob, Tarot with an Attitude. My soul brother, Hillis Pugh, over here, soul mentor and energy facilitator. You will find out why we're cracking up, but we are here to talk about trust energy. Don't go anywhere. This is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring your host, tarot consultant and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee. All right, everybody, welcome back to Tarot with an Attitude. I am your host, tarot consultant, and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee. It is good to see everybody here. Bangarang! I have, and many of y'all know, Mr. Hillis Pugh. We have been on shows and done some things before, but we are going to talk about this topic called trust. And I'm going to tell you right now, one of the reasons we're both laughing is because we started the show and I had one job, and that was hit the record button. And Hillis trusted me to do that. And guess who didn't? So here we are. We're getting this thing started. You know, Hillis, as always, Bangarang. You know about the Bangarang tribe. And so let's talk about, the whole trust. Like I said, how did you come up with this topic? Because I asked you, and you're like, here's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, and it's like I said, this has been a thought that's been in my field of energy for the past few weeks. And I really feel it's important now as I am really allowing myself to plug back into the collective, so to speak, because
Right.
I've been on this personal journey, for a few years now of that we can get into more about my personal journey later, or if you guys want to know, ask in the comments below. But and it really began to hit home of really knowing and understanding what the true essence of trust is. And as we talked about during the non-recorded section,
Rub it in, rub it in.
that trust. We when we are born into this world, we unknowingly surrender to the energy of trust, of really, as an infant and as a newborn baby, as even a toddler, and even pets, even your fur babies, we give ourselves over to this trust because we don't know what to expect. We don't know how to follow and be in this new space, because where we just come from, we just came from the ethers into this physical form. And so we have to have that guidance of, okay, where am I? What's happening? What do I need to do? What are the rules here? And
Right.
so it just opens us up to have that new foundation.
And one of the things, like I was saying before, is, in the stages of development, one of the first things we do, and they're finding out now, this isn't just spiritual stuff, this is scientific world.
Yeah.
And there are theories about learning trust from the ages of like 2 to 3 months, infancy, up to like a year and a half, that's where we're actually forming our trust bond, and why it's so important for parents of children or somebody to care for this child, because we are building these bonds of trust. I'm going to get fed. I'm going to get changed. There's going to be things over my head, shelter. If I'm hurt, somebody's going to take care of me. So, yeah. And now explain your animal here.
So
I'm
this
going to
is this
say,
is
this
this
could
is
be a
Naya.
TikTok moment. Okay.
No, this is Naya. She's 8 pounds of love.
Okay.
That's all she does. She's a Sholo, which means she's a hairless Mexican. She has like a little bit of hair on her head, and she's a 8 pounds of love. I
Okay.
didn't know I was gonna love her the way that I do. She didn't know she was gonna love me the way that she does. But yeah, she's just 8 pounds of love. That's all
Wow.
she wants.
Okay. All right.
And she
So,
trusts her daddy to take care of
yeah,
her.
and to meet her needs. So
Yes.
so why do you feel like this was so important that we address it, that it needs to be talked about openly and publicly?
Well, the energy of the planet, the energy of the universe begs that. because we are in such a divided space energetically, and I talked about this on, my show a while ago and with other people, and how we are in this present phase of deconstruction and construction simultaneously happening at the same time. That's never happened on the history of the planet. And when you're in this phase of tearing down and building up, it's like, what do you do when there's such divide in the energy? And you have to allow for the energy of trust to come in. Because if you don't know what you trust, and one of Rebecca's favorite words, for those who don't know, Rebecca Gregory is my friend, co-host on our other show, Cosmic Insight, or where she talks about the word discernment, and that's her favorite word, and I feel it's very appropriate here because when you're in this space of really feeling the divide, you have to know, you have to trust what is good for you, and the best way to know that is to tap into that intuitive space, really allow for that trust to creep back in, because when you've been a person who's been deceived, lied to intentionally or unintentionally, it breaks that down. And so you really can't trust anybody. So in a world where we're born into surrendering of trust, and then over a period of time, the trust is broken down, what do you do?
Yeah. And so, what do you think? We all say, okay, well, I just won't trust anybody again, and everybody's climbing down. And you're right. In today's world, I think that's half the problem. Nobody knows who to trust. We can't trust the news. We don't know, we don't know who's telling us the truth and who's not, and
Right.
even who thinks they're telling us the truth, and they've been misled. So we don't, that's hard for us. So, so where do you think? So is it important for us to get back into an attitude of and an energy of trust?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with me personally, like I talked about moments ago, I've been on this journey, personal journey for like, it doesn't seem like it's been 2 years, but it's been about 2 years, where I've been, really tuned into my health and really tuned into my body, what my body is asking for. And in this space, I've learned to trust my body, but then there's, when you, for example, when you get sick, or when you get a cold, or when you get a flu, people often say, well, you're different, your attitude is different, this and that and the other. And it's true because, the bacteria, takes over the cells, and then, it alters your personality. And so it goes back to the saying of, check your attitude, or really step into that space, because do you know who you are at the core of your being? If you so, people, may say whatever they say when I say this, and I don't care because it's true. When you allow yourself to become polluted with toxins and things like that, it just evolves and goes into something else. And so when we allow for that, do we really know who we are at the core of our being? Because we have, you know, this and that in our system, whether it's in our physical body or energetic field. And so do we lose trust in ourselves even? So it really, there's no limit to the amount of trust that can be gained or felt when we are really tuned in. And I'll be the first to say I don't fully trust myself at times.
Okay.
Being an empath, and an intuitive, that's one of the first things that you know we go through, because I don't know if you've ever felt this way, being an intuitive, and we'll think we're telling this story, we'll think we're lying, or with so much, we're so filled with doubt because we don't want to let the other person down. We don't want to, tell the other person we're lying. But, you just got to trust in what you're feeling and what you're saying. If you don't trust that, if you don't trust your intuition, then, what else do you have?
And if somebody violated your trust, I can understand, but we need to learn to limit it to that one person. some forgiveness goes along. But what happens is, and the energy of trust, as you're explaining it, I see it almost like a virus. It is, once it starts, I don't trust this person, it becomes easier not to trust another person. And all of a sudden, you're not trusting your own self.
Yeah.
And that can be, and for people looking to do what you and I do, one of the first things we tell them is trust yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So when you start doubting, you know, we hear, you know, I'll hear, it's not voices, it's not, but I will hear,
energy.
yeah, I will get energy voices in my head or whatnot saying something. And you start doubting, especially from the world, telling you to doubt yourself. Because if I doubt myself, then I'm dependent on somebody else.
Yeah.
If I do that, I start doubting myself. Spirit, my higher conscious, whatever you want to call it, and you can believe in both, kind of disconnects. And I want to show you something. This is really cool. So while you were talking about that, and I find this absolutely, folks, hang on to your butts. This is fixing to get really real. Y'all heard me shuffling, and I was shuffling.
I did. I felt it coming.
and I'm like, holy crap. And this is amazing. And you notice what card I've got right here on top. Okay?
Yeah.
Is the death card. That was the actual shadow card. When you were talking, and I'm like, so tell me about losing trust. What does it do? Death. All right. The importance of trust in rebirth and becoming and allowing old things to die. You have to have some trust that something new is going to come out of it. And then the next card, holy crap, the Tower. The Tower. And oh, by the way, everybody, this is gold foil tarot. It's just a tarot deck. Somebody put up that, you know, they put it in gold foil, so it's shiny. My buddy Bruce Kaler from Apollo Travel gave this to me because it's got like a PVC coating on it. So if the cards wind up spraying everywhere, all right, he got it for me because I read a lot and we go on cruises and things. I do a lot of free readings, and they're water resistant, so they're very slick. But man, do they come out good on camera. But we have the Tower, you know, even with the people screaming. Once we have that, it's the whole fear of change again. Not trusting can become very potent and a safe place, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, this speaks honestly to what's happening in the world right now.
I told you weren't going to believe it. This is kind of nuts, okay? You know, and then we got 7 of coins. And where I'm picking up on this one, normally that means you've done enough, sit back, say, look, you know what happens? Mistrust keeps us from moving forward. It keeps us from, you know, reaping good things that we've actually done, but we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust, and we, especially, and I want to relate, wow, this hit me hard. And please chime in if I'm off base here or whatnot. Mistrust leading to mistrusting yourself, okay, can lead
all the time
to a very dark place, okay, in your mind, and keep you in a state of dependency, okay?
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement with you. And what's coming to my mind right now, and you know, people may agree or disagree, but in that space of mistrust, you know, there's this tendency to have, you know, personality disorder or personality disassociation. You know, people wonder why people are crazy. They're not crazy. They just don't know who they are. And
wow,
so
that's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah. You know, people aren't crazy. They just don't know who they are.
And you know what? What I find funny about when I choose my decks, a lot of times I don't know which deck, or my wife will tell you I'm like losing my mind because I go around my decks and I'm like playing with it, what works, what doesn't, and you know I settled on this deck, and I was like, okay, now we've got the Knight of Swords. Anybody facing to it's my left, okay, and on the screen it's you're right, but this would be looking into the past, and it's our brain locking onto it's time to move out of the past. We keep driving into the past because mistrust locks us into the past. So it
Yeah.
keeps us from turning around and moving forward. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Oh, yeah. How many times have we, in collective speak, have we wanted to move forward in a pursuit, but a past experience of that like energy has kept us there. But then, we keep seeing that pattern reoccur, and it builds up more and more mistrust in ourselves and in the situation. And then we get anxiety because it's like, oh, well, this again. Oh, well, this again. Oh, well, I'm just going to give up. And so it's in that space until we have to then allow to begin to shift that space.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I saw this picture of somebody, literally, we've all been there and I've seen people really stuck there. I just don't trust myself to make a decision. So therefore, we are just moving through life with no purpose. We cease to find the joy in life. Life becomes a task. And I think it's very cool and very insightful to say that mistrust will lead to stress and anxiety. Stress over the decisions I made yesterday that no longer matter because it's gone. Okay. And anxiety over what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't trust in the universe. I don't trust in God. I don't trust that somebody's got my back. And I don't trust myself to see what's coming.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, you said this was when you and I were talking that this was actually spurring you. You had an idea about, was it a course? What do you something about this would
Well,
get you off your butt to do something?
well, like I said, when I feel moved to speak about something, it's usually for the collective, and people can go to my YouTube channel and look at the series of videos I did about love. And basically, it's just going to be a little mini series about that. And before that, I did a series about words. And so there's these little mini series that I do.
What's your
And now,
channel? What's your channel?
just my name on YouTube, Hillis Pugh.
Well, that's a long title. Just my name on YouTube. Hillis Pugh. So it'll be
Wait,
www.youtube.com/Hillis Pugh. All right. Cool. Yeah, no, but go ahead. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew how to find you. So
yeah, see, this is called branding. Wherever I go, people know who I am.
oh, okay, different video. But you know what? It's funny when we talk about that, it's branding. The trust
Yeah,
issue brands yourself. Do
yeah.
you want to hang around? And I would ask all the tribe members that are listening, do you want to be around somebody that doesn't trust anybody? And if you don't want to be around that person because of that negative vibe or something, it's like we can never fully go forward in a friendship or relationship because they just don't trust anybody.
Right.
Then why would you want to be that person?
Yeah. That's a real interesting question. And I'm going to begin me personally uh answering that because, when you are in a connection of building something new, in the beginning, trust is always important and is to have that trust factor. But as time moves on, and you begin to learn about the individuals involved in this connection, you then tend to slide a mistrust here or there, to kind of navigate things away from certain things. And one of the things that I find interesting when people do that is they do these things with an excuse of, well, I did it to protect you, or whatever the reason may be. But as I sit here in the fifth, sixth week of me taking telekinesis classes and building up to this other stuff that I'm going to be doing eventually, is, some point as a society, maybe in my lifetime, maybe not, that we will have the ability of telepathy. I mean, some of us do already. It's just not put to practice the way that it was in our civilization before or in the years coming. And that there, I believe, is one of the reasons why we don't have a good use of telepathy, because people say, well, I know you're lying to me. I can read your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you better than yourself. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that kind of garbage. So yeah, it's just what yeah, no, I hear you. Wow. That, you know.
But it's interesting. But then again, too, you also have on the other side of the coin of that, you have people who may inadvertently, mislead, not intentionally,
Right.
but they do it because it's a slip of the mind or something that they said they were going to do. It's like, oh, I completely forgot, which is honest. And
Right.
so that's different because, well, I say that it's different, but the person receiving it is no different to them as the person who's giving it, that reason. It's like, well, someone is saying, well, if this hurts me, even though you didn't mean to do it, I was still hurt by it.
Right.
So the impact is the same, regardless of the way that it was given off.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things I say now, here comes the attitude. Everybody, hold on. All right. Yeah, boom, right across the face. Lighten up. We have all hurt somebody inadvertently. We didn't mean to hurt somebody, but we've all done it. All right. With the best of intentions. So when somebody does it to you, cut them the slack that you want them to cut you. You know? So, and I'm going to tell you a funny story about, I've been driving to Boston every day, from Portsmouth, and we go into the hospital, and it's this 5-floor parking garage, one of like 8, because it's Mass General, okay, massive hospital, which this Florida boy ain't used to nothing that big, okay, not for a hospital. And the first few days, I'm trying to park, and one of the things I will tell you, New Englanders don't take seriously are yellow lines in a parking lot. Okay, it's however they fit. Sorry, y'all want to talk about Florida drivers? I'm going to tell you, stop moving to Florida, buying a Florida license plate, and giving Florida drivers a bad name. Now, I was literally getting angry. I'm like, what? What are you thinking? Once I started parking and realizing, you know what? That was the only choice he had because the 2 other idiots left him that section. Now they've pulled out and left and kind of left him holding the ugly stick of we're all parking crooked. Okay. Once you realize that in that parking lot, you just find a place to get your car in and go. Okay. I was getting out of the car with this whole angst, with this negativity. I literally had to shake it off. You know what I mean? Now, when I see it, I'm just like, okay, on to the next spot. And I'm not getting out of the car because I just anchor to the trust that he had no choice.
Yeah, and when you allow yourself to step into that, to really embody that, things begin to feel lighter, so to speak.
Yeah. And once you trust yourself, and I guess so. So let me ask you this: would you say that? And I'm gonna let me say something here about this spread. And we'll do the last card, and then I'll get
Yeah,
it out of
yeah,
the way. We might do another one. I don't know, but it's the 9 of coins. So when we're talking about where trust plays a role, it's like you're never going to reach your full dreams and your full potential in this world because the coins are all tangible. They're all about material. Okay. You're never going to reach that goal if you don't trust somebody.
yeah,
Okay. And if you don't trust yourself, it is the key to making your dreams come true. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy, you know, I, just how much all that kind of blended together. But now my question to you is, how much do trust and forgiveness go hand in hand?
Well, the word forgiveness takes me back to an interview that I did with Neil Donald Walsh.
Okay.
And I answer that by phrasing it that way so that we have a understanding of my meaning of the word forgiveness. And I got it from him. So, and it made sense to me. And so he told a story about a grandson and a grandfather having cookies and milk at the table. And I'm just kind of paraphrasing here because I don't remember exactly. It's been like, what, 4 years ago when I had this interview. But it stuck with me. Neil Donald Walsh, come on. But the grandson reached over the grandfather as he was reaching over to grab the cookies. He knocked over the milk. And the grandson said, I'm so sorry, Grandpa. I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry." Like, he apologized. And the grandfather looked at the grandson and said, "It's okay. You didn't mean to do it. So there's nothing to apologize for." So to answer your question, do trust and forgiveness go hand in hand? If you intentionally misled somebody, knowing that this was the outcome you wanted or a similar outcome, then yeah, you should definitely apologize and forgiveness should be given, period. But if you unintentionally misled somebody and the outcome was not the desired outcome and the person was hurt, then yeah, I do believe to some level um, there has to be some sort of understanding, not forgiveness per se, but definitely an understanding because that's what it is. Forgiveness to me is just surface stuff. Like,
Okay.
oh, I'm sorry, oh, I apologize. But when
That's
you
interesting.
allow for the understanding of what occurred, which means you have to have a dialogue, which means you have to have communication, which means people don't do that. People are afraid to have this communication and dialogue about stuff. So that's why I said forgiveness is more surface stuff as opposed to understanding. It is more about the relationship and understanding what truly took place.
Okay, so would you say I would be more correct in, instead of forgiveness, being able to release an incident if you're the
Yeah,
person that were
yeah,
offended?
yeah,
Because there are some things that I know that with 15 years or 14 years in law enforcement and doing my internships in trauma centers and hospice, there are some things people cannot forgive. Okay. And I know that's not scriptural or
yeah,
any of the very, fluffy bunny foo-foo
yeah,
spirituality here today. But,
yeah.
you know, you may never forgive them. Okay.
Right,
And
right.
I'm not saying you have to, but what I want to say is at some point, if you allow that incident to affect the rest of your life because you can't release it
Yeah,
and realize I'm not him or her,
yeah, right.
okay? That again, it's all going back to trust and trusting yourself to recognize warning signs again or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. And you bring up a very poignant point, because unexpectedly I work with surprisingly a lot of people who've been sexually abused. I didn't Spirit just sends them to me. I say, "Kid, you can deal with it." And what I find fascinating about this, until they come see me, most of them haven't been through the process of forgiveness. It's this energy of blaming the participant, blaming themselves. It's a lot of blame energy in this. And when you talk about forgiveness, it's more so, you know, the allowing of what we talk about, the letting go. How does someone let go in a healthy way?
Right.
Because most people, go through the process of self-medication, whatever it may be. Whether it's, drinking, smoking, sex, whatever, vice, food, whatever it
Right.
is, to process this energy, you know, the foundation is gone because as I talked about at the top of the show, trust is one of the main foundations of being in this school called Earth. If there's no trust, there's no foundation. Your foundation is out from under you. What are you going to do? You have to eventually rebuild this foundation.
That's amazing. You got anything you want to close with? Anything important? It's like hanging there on your heart. Like, I just got to say this. If you don't, that's okay.
I think everything that needs to be said is said.
I do too. I love our conversations like this. I love them because now we can have you back. We'll talk about all kinds of different things. We need to do a show, you and I, about, talking to loved ones that have gone, and people, do we trust? Because people think everything changes. So this is going to be awesome.
Oh yeah. All the time.
Hillis, my brother, I thank you very much. Again, it is YouTube, Hillis Pugh. Look him up, find out what's going on. Do you have an email or anything you want people to know, a website? Let's go ahead and get it out there, and then everything should be in the description below too, folks.
Yeah, the best way to find me is go to taplink.cc/Hillis Pugh. You can find everything there.
Oh, okay. Is that one of those link tree things? Everybody's like, Rob, please do a link tree. Or is that not a link tree?
No, that's not Linktree. It's like Linktree, but better.
Oh, we're not partial here. There goes that sponsorship. Okay. That's all right. I want everybody to have the best. Okay. So y'all, it'll be down below. Then you can get to Hillis any way you need to. If you need something, Hillis is great. Okay. So, wow. Another interesting session on Tarot with an Attitude. We got to do the cards about trust. That was really cool. I enjoyed it. Hillis, thank you so much. And my Barefoot Bangarang tribe, and to all my new viewers, take what you want, leave what you don't, but leave having experienced some peace, love, and light. Bangarang.
Bangarang.
This is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring your host, tarot consultant and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee.